Well, Wonder Woman 1984 dropped on HBO Max and I checked it out, so let's talk about it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone's doing well out there, and I hope everyone had a great Christmas last week. And I know I said I wouldn't be back till after New Year unless I saw Wonder Woman 1984, which I did sit down and watch on HBO Max in the comfort of my own living room, although I would have preferred to see a movie in an actual theater, but where I live in North Carolina, that's not an option right now. But let's talk about Wonder Woman 1984. Now, Wonder Woman 1984 got dropped on Christmas Day. It's my HBO Max and theatrically. It's 2 hours and 31 minutes long, and it had a $200 million budget. And I don't know where all that money went, but we'll talk about that. Now, I really liked the first Wonder Woman. I thought it was a super solid superhero film. I did not think it was groundbreaking like some people were shouting online, but I thought it was a super solid entry and a step in the right direction for the DCEU. And there was some really good action sequences in that film. I liked the war setting, and I liked the fish out of water setting for Wonder Woman and her chemistry with Steve Trevor. I thought that was really well done in the first film. So when I saw the trailer that Steve Trevor was coming back for this film, and I am going to have some spoilers in this review, just to forewarn you now, but saying that is not really a spoiler because it was in all the trailers, okay? So, Patty Jenkins was coming back. She directed the first film. She co-wrote this film, and she directed this film. And we have Gal Gadot back as Diana Prince or Wonder Woman. We have Chris Pine back as Steve Trevor. And our two new additions to the cast are Kristen Wiig as Barbara and also Cheetah, and Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. Now, this film starts off on Themyscira. We see a flashback sequence of Diana when she was about 10 or 12 years old, and she was in this kind of like ninja warrior course with other warriors that were adults, and she takes a shortcut during the race, and she gets called out on it, and she basically is taught a lesson about not taking shortcuts. Although this lesson does not reappear the rest of the film, really. And they could have. They had an opportunity to, but it never comes up again. It's kind of odd. But the opening sequence is beautifully shot. It's well staged. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And then we see Wonder Woman show up at this mall to stop this heist. There's this jewelry store in the mall, and they have this back room where they have this black market for antiquities from all over the world. And these robbers take certain things. Diana Prince or Wonder Woman stops them. It's a pretty cool sequence, although, gotta be honest, there's no action scene in this film better than the No Man's Land sequence in the first film. There isn't. The action's actually just okay. It's well shot some of the times, but it's not that exciting, and it's just okay. I don't know. Again, they had $200 million. I was very disappointed with the action in this film. I'm going to say that up front. Now, one of the antiquities that were stolen was a stone that nobody knows what it is. And Barbara was asked by the FBI to take a look at these antiquities and see what their value is, where they're from, just, because she's an expert on these things. She works for the Smithsonian, so does Diana Prince, works for the Smithsonian as well. Come to find out, that's a wishing stone, we come to find out. And this is our main MacGuffin for our story and why everything happens in this film. And I got to be honest, I hate this MacGuffin. I hate it. It's too convenient for everything that takes place the rest of the film. But we'll talk about that. And Diana has been single. She has not dated anybody. She's been alone pretty much since what happened in the first film. But it's 1984 now. And she meets Barbara. Barbara's kind of this geeky loner type who wants to be recognized and people to talk to her, but nobody really talks to her. So you feel sympathy for her. And Kristen Wiig's fantastic in this role. It's just, unfortunately, the movie's not that well written, so her character is kind of, you don't get, really, her transition happens so fast, and whatever. So, Diana and Barbara go out for dinner, and they have a conversation. They're getting along really well, and they realize what this stone is. Well, they don't realize it at first, but we find out that it's a wishing stone. And the one thing Diana Prince wants more than anything is Steve Trevor back in her life, the love of her life. And we feel for her because we liked their chemistry in the first film. Well, the Smithsonian is having this party. Well, meanwhile, Barbara wishes to be just like Diana, but she doesn't know that Diana is Wonder Woman and has superpowers. Well, all of a sudden, Barbara's super strong and super fast. Her eyes, she wears glasses. Now she's in e-glasses. and she's more confident, and people start noticing her, guys start hitting on her, and she's liking the attention. She likes the switch from where her life was before. Well, the Smithsonian is starting this fundraiser, and Diana Prince decides to go, and this guy walks up to her that is looking nothing like Steve Trevor and starts saying things to her that only Steve Trevor has said to her in the first film. And she realizes it's him, and they kiss. The camera goes around him and to the other side, and it looks like Chris Pine. I don't know why they chose to do it this way. This is another gripe I have for the film. If the stone can grant wishes, then Steve Trevor is just alive then. I don't know why it would need a vessel for him to take over. It never really explains that, and I think it's totally unnecessary. It really is. If you're going to go that route, just to have him reappear like he's alive. I don't know why. It's a useless plot point. Honestly, it doesn't really go anywhere other than he's back. But that's where they go. And she's delighted that he's back. And she doesn't even question it at first. And then, well, she does mention to him then after a night together that I really got to figure out how this is even possible. Well, come to find out, Maxwell Lord wanted the Wishing Stone, and he hired those guys to rob that place because he's this guy, this oil baron, or he gives the impression that he is, but he's basically like a Wolf of Wall Street guy. He's selling snake oil, like trying to tell people that he'll get them rich, but he's really not. And he is his son, and he has a big chip on his shoulder from when he was a kid. He's a megalomaniac too. He had a shitty childhood. His father was an abusive asshole. He was picked on in school. And he wants to be a winner. And even on TV, he's like, you could be anything you want to be if you just have positive thinking, like selling that 80s bullshit that they used to sell. And he's really into it. And he wants to be the biggest, most popular guy in the world. And richest guy in the world, too. So he gets his hands on the stone. And his main thing is he wishes to become the stone, which he does. And he starts granting all these people's wishes. But he gets something in return. And by the end of the film, he becomes like so out of control, and the world is on the brink of nuclear war because of all these wishes. And Barbara doesn't want to give her power back, so she starts fighting with Diana, saying, "You even go after Maxwell, and I'm going to kill you." And Diana, since she wished for Steve Trevor to be back, she's losing some of her powers. Bullets can hurt her. She's not as strong or fast. And she realized the only thing that she can do to save the world is to take back her wish, which means losing Steve Trevor all over again. Now, this scene works for me. Well, Chris Pine and Gal Gadot's chemistry works. That is the one story thread that I actually really, really like in this film. And when she does relinquish her wish and he disappears, you feel bad for her. Because it's the only thing she's wanted this whole time for herself is to have Steve Trevor back in her life. This works for me. I felt bad for her when she had to relinquish her wish so she can get back her powers to stop Maxwell Lord. So that works for me. But and I like Pedro Pascal's performance. Don't get me wrong. He's over the top and scene chewing, but I like it until about 3/4 of the way through, and then he even takes it up to like 20 on the knob, and it gets actually annoying by the end of the film. I couldn't wait for his character to go away at this point. And Kristen Wiig's character eventually turns into Cheetah, which isn't until the end of the film. Because they have a fight at the White House, and it's not really a great fight. It's okay. The action's not as exciting. I'm sorry. There's something lacking in the action department. For a movie that had $200 million, I don't know where all the money went. I honestly don't. But at the end of the film, Pedro Pascal, the government had this special program, and he can broadcast every TV on the planet because he wants everybody to make wishes through him. And this is what causes the world to almost end, because the nuclear missiles from Russia get shot off, nuclear missiles from us get shot off. Wonder Woman shows up, Cheetah shows up, and we have an awful fight. It is an awful fight. It's badly shot, badly edited. The CGI looks like shit. And then Wonder Woman dispatches of Cheetah, and then she goes in and stops Maxwell Lord. People relinquish their wishes from all over the world, and even Maxwell Lord relinquishes all of his wishes, and everything stops. The nuclear bombs are in the air, flying to the other countries, disappears. Maxwell Lord goes back and finds his son. They embrace in the field. He walks off with no consequences whatsoever, at least not in this film. And Diana Prince, at the end of the film, is standing around this Christmas tree. It's snowing. The guy that Chris Pine used as a vessel shows up. They have a little conversation. She smiles at him, and that's the end of the film. And that is Wonder Woman 1984. Now, there was a mid-credit sequence, but I shut the film off when the credits rolled because, honestly, the film wasn't good enough to care about that sequence, so I just shut it off. So I don't know what it is. If you know what it is, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I don't care about spoiling this film. I'll never watch it again. Is this movie the worst thing I've ever seen? No. But this is not a good film. It's bloated as hell. They could have easily cut out 15 to 20 minutes of this film. There is such large gaps between action sequences. Now, don't get me wrong. I can go for long periods of time with no action sequence if the story is interesting. But besides Steve Trevor's and Diana Prince's story, other than that, it's boring as hell. Maxwell Lord, I like Pedro Pascal's performance, like I said, for about 3/4 of the film. Then after that, I'm like, I can't wait for this guy to get killed or go away. It just didn't work. It didn't work for what they were going for. I didn't like the MacGuffin of the Wishing Stone. I thought it was too convenient of a way to bring Steve Trevor back and for everything else to happen. Honestly, Kristen Wiig's character has no reason to be here other than for her to become Cheetah in the last 15, 20 minutes for Wonder Woman to have somebody to fight that has the same strength as she does. Honestly, that's her only reason to be in this film. It's so ham-fistedly handled. She serves no purpose. And I like Kristen Wiig in this role, but it's a character we've seen before in other films done better. It's fine here, but by the time she becomes Cheetah, we get that awful fight at the end. It's like the only reason, it's the only reason she's here is for Wonder Woman to have somebody with the same strength to fight at the end. Because we can't have her fighting hand-to-hand combat with Maxwell Lord because she'd kill him in 2 seconds. That's the only reason for Cheetah to be in this film. So it was basically a throwaway character. And Kristen Wiig's good. It's just the character has no reason to be here. And the other thing that didn't really need to be was this film to be set in 1984. It serves no purpose. Yes, they show people dressed in 80s clothes, and it's bright and colorful, and they get into the 80s excess of it all a little bit. And you could even say the Cold War aspect is played up a little bit, but it's really a throwaway line. The Cold War stuff, they don't really dwell on it all that much. So there's really no point for this to be in 1984. They don't play up the pop culture of the time really at all. You don't hear any 80s music. You don't see any 80s TVs references at all. It's mostly just the clothing and some of the cultural things at the time. That's pretty much it. Other than that, it's a waste for it to even be in 1984. If you're going to go 1984 and spend this kind of money, you go big or go home. There's no reason to be, conservative about it. Go big with it. Play it up. It would have been more fun that way. The film is nicely shot. There's some nice cinematography. The action's shot fine, most of it, except for that cheetah fight. The cheetah fight's awfully shot. It's just awfully shot and edited. But the action's not exciting. There's nothing here that we haven't seen before done better. And no action scene in this film tops the No Man's Land sequence in the first film. And there's a big gap between action sequences. And again, the story's not good enough for me to care between action sequences. It's really not. Besides Diana Prince's and Steve Trevor's being together story, the rest of it wasn't really that thrilling, honestly. It pains me to say it. Hans Zimmer's score is really good. Again, some of it was really nicely shot. The story was a hot mess. It's bloated as hell. First of all, they needed our pass on the script, and they needed to edit it again. There was at least 15, 20 minutes they could have cut out, and nobody would have missed those scenes at all. Other than that, the finale was a mess too. Maxwell Lord didn't get what he deserved at the end. He just walks away with his son. Now, maybe in the third one, I heard Warner Brothers greenlit the third one already. Maybe we'll see what happens to him, but honestly, he gets away with it. The guy almost caused the end of the world, and he just walks off with his kid with nothing, doesn't have to pay the price. I didn't like that ending, honestly. He didn't get what he deserved. But at the end of the day, this movie is not a good film. It's okay at best. I will probably never watch it again. It was a bore to get through, honestly. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make much sense. And the finale was just bullshit. It wasn't good. It wasn't well staged. It was just a hot mess. And I would give Wonder Woman 1984 a 5.5 out of 10. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And I was kind of bored through it. The story just wasn't interesting enough to warrant the 2.5-hour runtime. So yes, I give Wonder Woman 1984 a 5.5 out of 10. Have you seen Wonder Woman 1984 yet? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this video. I greatly appreciate it. I hope everyone has a happy new year this week, and I will be back next week with some more Canon films review. We'll have some more Canon fun. Until then, see you later. Bye.